So, hi everybody, it's Cheryl at Educational Freedom. It's Home Education Awareness Week, and today we are talking with Maz, who home educates Lucian. Hi Maz, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you started home education, please?
Hiya. As you said, I'm Maz. My son Lucian is 9, nearly 10 now. We started home education about just over 3 years ago. Originally, it was forced home education because I was just desperate. I wasn't even aware home education was a thing, but I became desperate because I'd watched Lucian. Lucian's autistic, diagnosed autistic, and I'd watched him virtually stop talking. It was only doing 2 hours a day anyway. It got an EHCP, and unfortunately, their answer was it wasn't coping with the 2 hours a day, so stick him in a unit for nearly 7 hours a day. So I took him out and then found you guys on the internet and a couple of other resources as well, a couple of other groups as well. Learned about home education, and now I've got to admit it's the best thing we ever did.
Everybody we've spoke to so far has said the same. Yeah, it's common. I don't know if you've seen it in the groups, but yeah, the best thing we ever did. Wish I'd done it sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in the beginning, it was really hard because I felt so much pressure by authority. Not that it weren't actually the HE team that was giving me the pressure. I think I put a lot of it on myself because I was like, always autistic, they're going to want this, they're going to want that. And I did, stupidly, I did try and reenact school. It didn't work at all. And we failed quite drastically in the beginning, to the point I even went to look at a special school. Upon looking at that special school, Lucian was like, no, no. And I was like, right, we need to make this work. The special school actually said they wouldn't be able to meet his needs anyway.
Okay.
Which at that time, I was like a bit, okay, but I am actually glad that they did, because that's when we unschooled for a while, took him right back to basics, and now, though we do maths, we do English, we do science, but in our way, rather than sitting down with a book, because it just don't work.
So how long did it take to sort of de-school and get that out of your system? It sounds like it needed to come out of your system more than Lucian's.
Yeah, it really did. To be honest, it was about 9 months. It weren't a quick thing. I expected it to be, really quick, but it actually took about 9 months of realizing, I can't. School just doesn't work.
Yeah.
I knew that in a way, but I didn't quite know how to make it different.
Yeah.
Up until we just took it right back to basics and started to enjoy the outdoors and enjoy learning and making it fun. And now the progression in him is amazing. He never shuts up. Is very talkative. When I first pulled him out of school, I couldn't get him to go to home education groups or anything like that. We tried him and we'd leave within 5 minutes because he couldn't cope with it.
Yeah.
Now, he attends one regularly every week, which he loves, his sports one. He now walks in places with confidence, which is amazing to see.
Yeah.
And it's actually coming on really, really well. I mean,
and how long have you been home educating now?
Just over 3 years. 3 years, September.
So do you feel that that period of de-schooling, that time where you had to completely step back, do you think that set you back in where we could be for learning, or do you think actually that time off of doing things boosted where he is?
See, from what I've read, the people's comments on unschooling, I'd still say we're sort of, you know, we're semi-structured unschooling now, because
Yeah.
we don't sit with books, we don't, but it's certainly a way of life that we've sort of continued. I just wish I'd have knew that in the beginning, because I reckon would have saved a lot of time.
And tears.
And tears, yeah.
Yeah. I know that one from
Definitely.
experience myself. I fell into that same, I must create school at home. I mean, this was many, many years ago, 16 years ago. But yeah, it's difficult to see education as being anything other than school. So
Yeah.
it does take time.
A lot of people think when you say unschool, they think you just sit around all day doing nothing and not learning. But
Yeah.
actually, he now gets the learning value out of everything, even things I wouldn't think of.
Yeah.
You know, even a walk to the park, and he'll suddenly start a conversation, or I'll start a conversation, and it leads from one thing to another. And it's not until I sit down of a night time and I think, oh, actually, you know, we've learned quite a lot.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So you've already mentioned quite a few things, but is there anything that stands out that he would not have been able to achieve or learn if he'd have been in school?
well, to be honest, if he'd have, when he was at school, he spent a lot of that 2 hours sat under a table, you know, and then I'd pick him up and he would be devastated for most of that day. We
Yeah.
couldn't go out because of that. You know, it was miserable. He virtually stopped talking. Now he has the confidence to walk in a room, whether there's other children there or not. He'll play alongside other children now, whereas at that time he wouldn't. He's actually exceeding what was expected of him, from an EHCP
Yeah.
point of view, and from the education point of view. You know, and well, yeah, just to see him wake up with a smile on his face every day, and yeah, I mean, it's got that zest for life again. He actually wants to learn now,
Yeah.
whereas it's sort of lost any ability to even care about learning when I
Yeah.
first pulled it.
Yeah. We do hear that quite a lot. So if you could offer any advice to another parent whose child is sitting under a table, you know, and spending the rest of the day struggling to function, what advice would you give to them?
Give yourself some credit and do what's within your heart. Because I knew that it weren't working for a long time, but I weren't aware of my options. I mean, like I said, I weren't even aware that home education was a thing
Yeah.
until I'd reached that desperate point. But I'd say go for it, because you know, honestly, the change in him is absolutely dramatic,
That's
in a
fantastic.
good way. And I wouldn't change home education for the world now. They could, if they threw at me, I don't know, you know, the best school in the world, and it was only 3 hours a day or whatever, I'd still say no.
Yeah.
Because home education is for him. I mean, if anybody asks him where he goes to school, which obviously when we go out, he gets that quite a lot, and he'll say the world's my school, and you know that's his own
Yeah.
saying. That's come up with that, you know, and yeah, I'd say go for it, because people doubt you and people say, oh, you can't do it, you need to be a qualified teacher. Believe me, I'm far from it. And yeah,
There's ways to make it
definitely.
work, isn't there? And because you're not teaching, you don't need to
Yeah,
know the content.
facilitating. The way I see it now, I'm facilitating his learning as a parent rather
Yeah.
than trying to teach her.
Yeah.
because I've changed my view on how I see it, it has helped so much. It
Yeah.
really has. And I've got to say that a lot of that is through reading a lot from yourselves and
Oh,
learning from others.
there is a lot of information out there, and it's really good to hear that people are using it. Yeah. So what do we think the future holds for Lucian?
It's torn at the moment, and he originally wanted to be a policeman,
Okay.
but now he's getting more into mechanics. He wants to do something in cars.
Very nice.
Which, because he's not quite 10 and yet, finding him actually anything in that role at the moment to practice or anything is a bit hard. But as he gets older,
Could soon turn your back garden into a mechanics whatever.
I've actually thought about that, buying an old car and just letting him tinker.
I know a few home educators that have got cars on the drives that their kids are taking apart.
I have thought about it because it's just obsessed with cars. And yeah, I've got to admit, originally I was told, he's not going to be able to do this, he's not going to be able to do that, whereas actually I have 100% faith in my son now that he can do anything he puts his mind to, despite his autism.
Yeah, that's fantastic. He's got the world at his feet. He can do whatever he wants now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, without those limits. That's amazing.
Yeah, learning without limits. Home education is learning without limits. It's not time restricted. That's the other thing. Because of his autism, sometimes you have to go over things over and over again. It wouldn't get to do that in school.
Yeah.
They have a set time amount to learn something, whereas we can stay on the one subject for as long as needed. Or as short as needed. Because some things they'll pick it like that and he wants to move on to the next thing.
He's not sat having to wait for everyone else to finish, or they're having to sit and wait for him, or he's having to stay in after school to finish, or whatever. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. We're hoping to do this again next year, if you'd be up for it, to do an update on how he's doing. So yeah, we're hoping to maybe try and follow a few people over a few years and keep things updated.
Yeah, I'll gladly do that.
Lovely. Well, thank you for your time, and it's been lovely hearing about Lucian and your home education journey. Thank you for talking to us.